Okay, so next on the agenda, we have about a 6.5-minute video on a past recipient of ours, Mr. Charles Sullivan, who lives in Holyoke, Massachusetts. And we worked on his home with some skilled contractors and some volunteers from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Massachusetts from across the state. Their employees came from, Quincy and Boston all the way to the Berkshires. So I'm going to play that for you now, and to kind of give you an overview of the type of work that we do and the experiences.
Good people out there. Again and again, again. Well, we can all.
The hardest part of our job here at Revitalize CDC is choosing which families we're able to help and which ones we're not. There's so much need out there. Well, JoinedForces is our initiative to focus on military veterans and their families and their homes in need of repair and modification. Mr. Charles Sullivan, we chose him this year. He had applied last year. He served in the U.S. Army in Vietnam. We're really happy to be able to serve him in return.
I didn't go into high school. I went to trade school, and once I got out of there, went on a job for Sterling Press out in Westfield, and 3 months on the job is when I got drafted. I went through the basic training. Somehow, some way, I got into the truck driving school, or whatever you want to call it. And from there, I went straight to Vietnam. A lot of water. That's all I looked out the plane. I just saw a lot of water. That's all I can remember. Water, water. It was, I hope this don't crash. But then you get there and landed in Cameron Bay, I believe it was. I went to Pleiku, I believe, was the first place I went to. Some kids they couldn't handle it, and other kids could. And I was just one of the ones I was just okay with it. Just I want to serve my country. That was basically it. Proud to serve. I really am. I'm glad I got drafted too. I'm not sorry for one moment. If I'd do it again, I would.
Mr. Sullivan purchased the home brand new in 1977. Him and his wife Donna raised 2 children, a son and a daughter there. They were married in 1972.
I met her when I was maybe 12, and she was in the 5th grade. And the thing is, from then on, we just clicked. Married her when I was 24, because I wanted the service out of the way. And we stayed together the rest of our lives.
So last year in 2015, we announced our expansion into the city of Holyoke, Massachusetts. And the first family that was chosen in Holyoke was the Leary family. Scott Leary had served in the U.S. Air Force during Desert Storm and Desert Shield. So we were so happy to be able to rehab that home. We replaced 36 windows in the house, all new energy efficient ones that help them save their money on their heating costs, a new roof that was leaking over a portion of the garage. We gutted the kitchen and put in all new kitchen cabinets with water saving fixtures and sinks. And when you drive down that street, you see all the bright new windows shining really half the house. The entire house is painted Air Force blue. That was what the family had chosen, with the American flag out in the front steps. They've done some nice landscaping in front of the yard, and it's really wonderful to be able to see that house completed thanks to the volunteers and the donors that we have throughout the community.
A year after I got married, 1973, my son was born. So that was a quick start. And 5.5 years later, I had my daughter. And that's it. When she got sick, that was when, that was it. And I retired. You have to be cautious on what you do and what comes first. Like, no way I'm gonna be able to replace that window or take care of that floor. For me to even try to do any of these things, it's almost like impossible. All of a sudden, my wife just says, I can't breathe. What do you mean you can't breathe? So we went to the ER instead of to the doctors, and we got in there, one thing led to another. When they took the x-rays, on one side of her lungs, she had emphysema totally on one side. The other side was cancer. It was all black, so they stuck these tubes down her so that she could breathe. And then she said he wanted to take further tests, and they did, and they found out that she had 3 tumors in her brain. They're all malignant. So I said, oh boy. And the doctor told her there was no reversal. And that was it. And she lasted 12 days. I stayed there the whole 12 days. It's like missing everything.
You know, Mr. Sullivan's application stood out especially because of his wife passing away. And he was, you know, very sad. And Mr. Sullivan was caring for her for so long that he hasn't been able to do some maintenance and work on the house. Didn't ask for anything, virtually anything. He invested just very, very little. You know, after his service in Vietnam, we want to be able to help him. We want to be able to lift him up. So we're going to be working on his home to make it safe, healthy, and energy efficient. We're going to rip up the laminate flooring that's unsafe. It's curled up in areas so that, you know, it could be a fall hazard. So we're going to rip that up, put a new subfloor on there, install the tile that they had selected together. The front picture window in the living room is cracked and air is coming in, making it cold in the winter. His utility bills are higher as a result of that.
Colleen called me and says we're going to have a talk. And these guys come in, they help me out. I said, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. And, you know, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. All volunteers. And very nice of them.
You open up the back door off the kitchen, and there are not any steps. So we're putting in steps and a very small deck for him to enjoy his backyard. We're going to paint his shed he built in the backyard and add some shutters, maybe some flower boxes. And yeah, we're going to really spruce up the whole entire yard. We want to cheer him up. He's gone through so much sadness recently that we were happy to plant some shrubs and flowers and put some mulch down. And we're going to surprise him at the end of the day by installing a flagpole and have an honor guard present him and raise the flag and honor him and his family. That's the end of the video portion with the Joined Forces. It goes onto there to talk about our Green and Fit program, but it'll give you really an idea from the beginning to end of the process that we worked on in this particular past recipient. And then on the agenda, next item on the agenda that you will see, and I'll bring this up again. We have, speaking of past recipients, we have Dolores Culp with us today. She's been volunteering with us for many, many years. She is also a U.S. Army military veteran, past recipient, and Dolores would like to say a few words. So Dolores, the stage is yours.
Hello, everybody. I would like to just talk to you about my experience with Revitalize and how they have helped me. I went through a time with the tornado about 12 years ago, and that's how I met Colleen and Ethel. And at that time, my house was a mess. I couldn't even stay in it. A tree had fell on top of the roof. Water was leaking. Windows broken out the house. The windows were all messed up and everything. And they came over and looked at my house. I had insurance and stuff, but it was a lot that my house was really messed up. The ceilings had came apart. I had to get new carpet, new doors, the lighting, yard work. There was trees all over my backyard, and my plumbing was messed up. My house, I could not live in it for a while. There was a lot of work. I couldn't even use the bathroom or nothing. I had to have a porta potty out on the outside. Without them, I would probably still be suffering. It was taking a long time for the insurance company to pay money, but Revitalize really helped me out a lot. I'm grateful for them. You know, they have a way of talking to you to make you feel good when you're going through something. And that was really a big help for me. I learned a lot from them because when I got a chance to help veteran families, to talk to them, to say, you know, this is going to be okay. I went through that. What they're telling you is true. So, you know, I love working with them, but I really enjoy meeting Ethel and Colleen. As you can tell, I'm a little bit nervous, but they really helped me out a lot with my house. And I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dolores.
You're welcome.
Become part of the family. So as many of our recipients have, as well as the staff, we're all part of the Revitalize CDC family. So next, what I'm going to be doing is turning over the remaining portion of the presentation to both Ethel Griffin, our Director of Programs, and Rachel Monroe, our Project Manager, who have been working very closely on these programs, and we'll talk specifically about how to apply, what the criteria is, and so forth. And then we'll open it up for questions and answers. And that is the remaining portion of the program. So thank you. And go ahead, Ethel.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me just make sure I'm on here. Okay. Revitalize Community Development Corporation. Our motto is revitalizing homes, neighborhoods, and lives through preservation, education, and community involvement. We were founded in 1992, and we perform critical repairs, modifications, and rehabilitation on homes of low-income families with children, the elderly, military veterans, and people with special need. And we feel good because we feel like we are bridging the gap between health and housing. Below you can see these are some of the projects that we are working on and we continue to work on. It's a process that we totally enjoy doing, and to see someone that come out the next time to help us. You probably want to know about the application process. You will see the term eligible veterans. Under this grant, it would mean disabled and a low-income veteran. Revitalize CDC HUD application with attachment. You have an application and you have to send in proof of income, your DD 214, displaying honorable discharge. And Rachel would now go into a little bit more detail about the HUD process.
Yeah, so once we receive the application and it's accepted through us in terms of getting that proof of income, checking the eligible veteran status, it kind of all lands on us now. We have to go through an extensive process in order to actually start doing the work. The first step that HUD has us do is the SHPO, the State Historical Preservation Office. So we need to go out to your home. We need to take pictures of the front and back of your house. And then we have to send that in with a little bit of information, how many square feet your home is, which we can find online and stuff like that. And then they determine if the home is locally or nationally historic. Usually we already know if it is or not. If it goes smoothly, it usually takes about 30 days to be approved. But we had a case not too long ago. We had a nationally historic home in Springfield. We do then have to go through the city historical office and do a hearing and get approved through them in order to do the specific scope of work that your application asked for. The next step is an environmental review, which it's an online program through HUD. We have to go through about 26 related laws and authorities so that make sure that we are following the law, the federal law in the environmental review. So that's like a flood map, noise abatement. Are you too close to an airport? All of those things we need to upload maps and then get approved through HUD. Sometimes that if they're slammed with a lot of environmental reviews, it can take a long time, but sometimes it comes back quickly. We also do lead testing, and that's something that we pay for on any home pre-1978. And depending on what comes back, we actually haven't had anyone have lead yet, but we may need to change the scope of work depending on that. If there's lead around your windows and we are liable to remediate the lead, that could be the only thing we can do based on budget. So we might have to either change the scope of work and not touch it, or we have to just remediate the lead. Now I'm going to go into some of the eligible activities. So within this grant, the eligible veteran can receive physical modifications due to a disability, installing wheelchair ramps, widening exterior, interior doors for wheelchairs, reconfiguring bathrooms. That's one that we have done. That can be changing a tub into a shower, so you don't have to lift your foot over and potentially be a falling hazard. Installing special lighting so you're able to see better, appropriate floor coverings, lower countertops, and just accommodating any functional limitations in the result of a disability. Secondly, it's rehabilitating the residence that is in a state of interior or exterior disrepair. So identifying any hazards, a leaking roof, siding that's leaking and not insulated correctly. So it is a wide range, and if we can kind of make sure that it's a modification that makes you stay in your home, then that's something that we can do. Our goal is to serve 51 veterans across Massachusetts, and our estimated cost per veteran is $10,000. So I just want to show you one that we have already done. This was in Springfield. It was a Marine. So basically his story was he had his insurance company come in because there was mold. There was black mold everywhere in his ceilings, under his floors, in his walls, as you can see on that left picture there. So, well, they came in and they remediated the mold, but then they never came back. They never insulated again. They never put the walls back up, the floors back in, and they tried and tried and tried to get them back, but they never came back. So when I got the application and he said he had no walls, floors, or anything, I was like, all right, let's see. I wanted to see it myself, and it was true. He had nothing there. This was the bathroom. There was also mold in the bathroom. Before this picture was taken, he had to have just a plastic sheet covering the wall because there's no tile there. Everything was broken after they left. You can see the vanity there. So we were able to put the walls back up and make it nice again. I remember he said to me before we started, he's like, he was a younger veteran, and he says, my kids are starting to think this is normal, that we don't have any floors, that we don't have any walls. And it was cold and not insulated. So he was so grateful once we were able to just give kind of his dignity back in his home. So this one felt really good, and that's why I wanted to display this one. And working with all the veterans has been an honor. So with that, I was wondering if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Rachel. Great job, and Ethel. And Ethel, if you want to take yourself off mute also. So if people are going to open up to questions, you're probably muted. So when you do, feel free to take yourself off mute and ask any question. We're here for that. To start off too, you can download the application right on our website along with our brochure, and it's on revitalizecdc.com, and it's on the Joined Forces tab. And what I'll do is I'll put that link in the chat so you can just copy and paste that. But I'll turn it over again to Rachel and Ethel for questions from anybody from the floor.
Hi, Colleen. Bobby Demusis from the city of Springfield.
Hi, Bobby.
How are you? Well, not so good. You're recovering, right?
Yeah, it's getting there. Thanks.
Is this a loan? Is it a grant? Is there any other restrictions? Soft second mortgage, anything like that?
None, it's a grant,
100% grant.
100% grant. The services are all free as long as they, everything qualifies and, by the descriptions that Rachel mentioned.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep. Good question.
Hi, Colleen. This is Eric Segunda, Director of Veteran Services here in Ludlow.
Hi, Eric.
I'm also the president of the Western Mass Veteran Service Officers Association.
Mhm.
My question is, the program is expanded all of Western Mass, or the whole state? Is that what you're doing, or is it just localized to?
This particular grant from HUD is statewide. So we have already completed projects out in Somerset, Massachusetts. We have applications from Lawrence, et cetera. So it is statewide, as long as it's in the state of Massachusetts.
Okay. The other question I would have then is, would it be possible, I guess what I'm trying to say is, having the local VSO involved, so if you reached out or you had a veteran in a certain community that you may be working with,
Mhm.
to reach out to us, because I had a veteran here in town, I'm not sure if it was you guys, but he had work done in his house, but we knew nothing about it. So we started getting the phone calls here at the office and the newspaper and all that, but so maybe having the VSO of the community that you're coming into and, maybe help you with the veteran, help the veteran fill out some paperwork if that's what they need, anything, any other services. So maybe you're coming in to fix the veteran's home, but we weren't made aware that there may be other services that we can help with, whether it's financial, food, insecurity, anything like that.
Okay, that's a good idea. Was that in Ludlow?
I was in Ludlow, yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll follow up with you afterwards. I have your email.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, this is John O'Neill from Mass Mutual. Hey, two what I think are quick questions. Does it have to be an honorable discharge? Can it be a general? And how do we go about, is there a process to go about getting folks who are willing to volunteer?
Can you repeat the second question?
Yeah, just how do we, if there's a group of people that want to volunteer, how do we go about getting involved on that side?
Okay, so we generally have 2 volunteer days a year, one in April and one in generally the fall, September, or October. Excuse me. So if you're signed up for our email list, you'll be notified of when those opportunities are available to register to volunteer in the community. April is generally in the city of Springfield, and the fall is the last couple of years we've been in Chicopee. Before that, we've been in Holyoke. And then veterans are also part of those particular volunteer projects. And I'm sorry, but you had a first question and I forgot what it was now.
No, it was just, I'm wondering if it's required that they be honorably discharged, or can they be discharged generally without a
I
dishonorable?
don't know if I know
less
the
than
answer to that. I think it's honorably, but Rachel, do you have any more information on that?
Yes, in the grant contract, it does say honorably.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it does say honorable.
Thank you.
And I think they need to know, they're very specific about that too, about the qualifications.
These are all very good questions. Anybody have any others? Questions or comments? And again, you'll have to take yourself off mute so that we can hear you. You sure? You can always reach out to us, of course. You can send us an email. I'm going to put Rachel's email in here in the chat too. I had sent in the link in the chat to download the application. But you could also feel free to call our office. We are all working remotely still, so we check voicemail messages in the office once a day, and they're usually distributed at the end of the day. So usually the callback will be either towards the end of the day or the following day. And our office number 2 is right here as well. And Ben, if you want, feel free to put your email address in there. If anybody has questions about the services that JPMorgan Chase has to offer veterans, feel free to do that as well. You can reach out to Ben directly. Thank you, Ben.
Colleen, hi, it's Suzanne. I have a quick question.
Sure.
First of all, thank you for doing this. This is such a great program and one that I just learned about through your organization. So thanks for you and all your staff for all the good work that you do. 2 questions. One, you said the average grant is $10,000. Is there a cap? Can it go up?
There is no cap. There's a cap on the amount that HUD will distribute to us a total. So if somebody comes in at maybe 8,000, then we might have 12,000 to spend on somebody else. However, what we're finding is the needs for the applicants, the veterans, far exceeds that $10,000. So I don't even know, Rachel, if we've had anything under $10,000 at this point. So unfortunately, that has been the case in our experiences from the applicants.
Thank you. And then on the individual projects that you do, so the individual residences, do you utilize volunteers to help get that work done? Like, how what do you do to keep the costs down to get that work done?
So we can use volunteers, but most of the volunteers are unskilled. So a lot of that type of work might be painting or landscaping. And a lot of the applicants here have asked for very specific, critical, skilled work repairs, like replacing a leaking roof. In fact, we had a veteran just last week, and we had a quote on his roof for $36,000. He'd been living in the home for over 50 years. He's a Korean War veteran, was in the Army. And we were able to get a lot of the building materials donated. So that was about at least, I think, $10,000 worth of roofing, shingles, and all of that. And then the contractor really worked with us on that. So we got it down to about, I think it was about $12,000 on that particular project from original quote of $36,000. So the volunteer we try to reserve for the spring or fall type days where they can work on that, because a lot of that work is not necessarily what the veteran is requesting, because it just requires a high skill of contractors. And like I said, we get contractors to really work with us on a lot of these types of things. And that was a perfect example.
Thank you.
Colleen, Bobby again. I know in the past you've had a program for widows of veterans. This program, does it have to have a veteran in the household, or would it be open to their survivors?
Yeah, I thought of it as we were doing that presentation. It must be the veteran, and it cannot be a widow or a widower of a veteran. Which is very, because we do get so much, and the family has suffered and served as well. So it's disappointing, but those are the requirements for the particular grant. I will also make a note: the veteran does not have to own their own home, though. Okay. They could be living with, say, for example, an adult child, and they could be living in Agawam, and the adult child's home might be worth, $400,000, and the adult child is not low income. However, they might want to make modifications to the home so that there's a bedroom on the first floor for the veteran where they're living with their adult child. So as long as the veteran qualifies, we would still do that work on that particular home. We do not require, or HUD does not require, income verification from the owner of the home. So that's a key point.
So that would go for a renter too?
Yes, as long as we could get landlord approval, and you know how complicated that can be sometimes, because our healthy homes programs, we deal primarily with landlord properties, and sometimes it can get difficult to get approval from the landlord to do that work, but yes, if we can, we will.
And one last question, I'm probably know the answer, but it's HUD, so is it 80% area median income?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Low income following the HUD guidelines, yes. These questions are very good just because we're so immersed in it ourselves that you kind of forget what the questions might be because we're just working with it every day, that it's good to have people from the outside looking in and what's not so evident to understand.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I'd like to thank everybody. For tuning in.
If nobody has anything else, again, in the chat, you'll see, you go to revitalizecdc.com and then you would just click on the Joined Forces tab there and you can download the application. You can email Rachel at revitalizecdc.com. Our office number, where we are listed, it's area code 413-788-0014. And if you need to reach Ben at JPMorgan Chase, his email address is in there, benjamin.r.rento, RENTO, at chase.com. And again, I want to thank everybody for being here today. We appreciate your interest, and let us know if there's anything we can do to support you as you might be doing some outreach within your communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.